So today's topic is how to use speech technology for education. Okay, everybody, I think in this room, everybody is learning of English. Okay, and many learners are learning Koreans, of course, and the Japanese and English. Okay, so my laboratory, some students are working on how to use so speech technologies and language technologies to support learners and teachers. Okay, and then today I'd like to focus on speech technologies. Okay, how to support learners to improve their skills of speaking, listening, conversation, and more. So this is my biography of myself. My major is speech science and technology. Okay, so when I was in high school, I wanted to become a language teacher. Okay, but finally I became selected a way to become an engineer, right? And then these days I often use speech technologies to support learners and teachers. Today's talks can be divided into 4 parts. See how to use speech technology. Okay, the first one, how to use speech synthesis technologies to support learners and teachers. And then next one is how to use speech analysis technologies, and in the third one is speech recognition technologies. Okay, and then the final one is, we are running another project, new project. Okay, so synthesis technology. First synthesis technology here. Okay, the first topic is how to use speech synthesis technologies to support learners to learn how to speak. Okay, so in this case, the target language is Japanese, not English. I'm sorry. Okay. I think I have to explain a little bit about Japanese prosody. Okay, so so here this is a slide to explain lexical level Japanese prosody. Okay, like English, Japanese has word accents, lexical accent in Japanese. Okay, but differently from English, the Japanese lexical accent is based on pitch accent. So this is the principle of Tokyo Japanese lexical pitch control. Okay, so first it goes up, low, high, ta ta, and keeping high, and somewhere it drops, ta 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 ta. Yeah. So this is the baseline. This is so principle. Okay. So where somewhere it drops, That means in Japanese we can classify lexical accent types depending on the fall position of pitch. Okay, and this is a kind of the observed pitch pattern. Okay, something like this. Okay, yeah. So in the case of English, so you have to remember the position of stressed syllable in a word. But in the case of Japanese, you have to remember the pitch downfall position of individual words. Yeah, kind of similar. But what is the difficulty of learning lexical accent control of Japanese? Okay. So this is one example. Aka means red, color of red. Enpitsu means pencil, red and pencil, right? So aka, enpitsu, low, high. So when they're combined, what kind of expression you can get? So you may say, oh, this is aka, enpitsu. Yeah, the first word is aka. The second word is enpitsu. But we don't say, Japanese don't say aka, enpitsu. So we often say aka, enpitsu. So high-low is totally opposite, right? And this is another example. Aruku means walk. And this is the polite form of walk and do something else, and walked and not walk. Okay, this is a kind of conjugation of a verb. So, but in this case, the accent type is changed. Okay, yeah, arukimasu, aruita, arukanai, not arukanai. Yeah. So another example is this is one sentence. I eat. Watashi wa taberu. I and eat. Okay. So isolated pronunciation is watashi wa and taberu. But if they are combined, we often say watashi wa taberu or kare wa taberu. He eats. Okay. So each word has its own lexical accent. Okay. But when they're combined, the accent control is somewhat changing. Okay. And then some learners often say that lexical accent control of Japanese is so mysterious. Okay. So how to teach these control to learners. So one possible approach is that the teachers don't teach. Okay, this can happen. Yeah, this is an actual email I received from a Canadian learner of Japanese. So I live in Canada I have been studying Japanese for 10 years, for which was at university, and I have never heard a pitch accent. Okay. The pitch accent control is very difficult to teach, so this is one of the reasons why teachers don't teach lexical accent control. Okay. Yeah, this is not a rare case, especially in northern U.S. So this is another slide to explain the sentence level or phrase level prosody, not lexical level. Okay, so sentence level prosody can be explained by comparing two languages, the sentence intonation of two languages. In this case, Chinese and Japanese. So this is a Chinese sentence. So it's about weather forecast. Again. So here I'd like to present Japanese utterance. So waveform and pitch pattern. So can you find some big differences between these two? So I think if you're looking at for 3 seconds, you can find that global mountain-shaped curve, okay, global curves in Japanese intonation pattern. So this is a very, very big difference between Japanese and Chinese intonation patterns. So this global pattern makes your pronunciation much more natural to native listeners. But this kind of the intonation control is not taught so often to learners.
目前我国中东地区的天气正在经历转折。九州は昼前後を中心に雨となりまして、各地気温は高め。
Yeah. So in general cases of language learning and language teaching, so teachers teach how to write and how to read. But due to time limitations, teachers are not often teach how to speak, how to listen. Okay, yeah. So teachers teaching language, how to read, how to write, and as for speech training, the teachers often provide the audio CD. Please imitate, listen, repeat, and that's all, right? But I think I can claim that there are very different type of teachers. So I can claim that there are different type of teachers. So who are teaching prosody very intensively. Okay, they are teaching Japanese prosody, lexical prosody, and sentence prosody very, very intensively to unique group of learners. To a unique group of learners who are receiving this kind of education. Okay? Yeah, they are machine learners. So today, this is mobile phone and PC. So every PC and every mobile phone can talk, can listen to human voices so well. Okay? Who are teaching languages to small guys? So we, speech engineers. So in a sense, I can claim that we are speech engineers, teachers of languages who are teaching languages to machine learners, right? So in Japanese text-to-speech communities, we have a very long history, more than 50 years history of teaching Japanese prosody to machine learners. So let's introduce our knowledge of Japanese prosody to human learners. So this is the first project. Yeah, this is the very brief introduction of how Japanese text is converted to speech waveforms. So this is the input text. So this is Chinese characters, and simpler forms are hiragana letters, hiragana or katakana letters. Hiragana or katakana are representing only sound, but the Chinese letters are representing the meaning and sounds. So this sentence is firstly converted into hiragana only, so sound symbol only, something like phoneme sequence. Okay, and then this representation can be found on a textbook of Japanese of human learners. Okay. And by looking at this, the human learners try to read or try to imitate the audio CDs, right? But inside PC, so this representation is further converted into this. Okay, yeah. So you can find additional symbols. So these symbols are representing pitch control, prosodic control. Prosodic symbols are added to hiragana representations. So this is what is read. This is what is read by machine learners, but these are what is read by human learners. Without prosodic control instructions, it's difficult to read this in a natural way. So machines can read this, something like this.
日本語はとっても難しいけど、アニメが好きだから頑張ります。
Yeah, perfect Tokyo Japanese. Yeah. So this flow is text-to-speech synthesis. So we focused on this because this is totally lacking in classrooms of Japanese. But this is somewhat difficult even for native speakers to read or understand. So then we visualize this into this. Yeah, easy to understand visualization is this. Yeah, then we introduce this to real classrooms of Japanese. Yeah, here I'd like to show you one small video. So video clip of 1 minute to explain the very most popular feature of our system, OJAT, Online Japanese Accent Dictionary. Yeah, this is a short story of a female learner of Japanese, Chinese learner of Japanese. So she entered university in Japan, and one year passed. So she wanted to present her work in Japanese because she wanted to attend the Japanese domestic meeting, academic meeting. So today is a rehearsal day of her oral presentation. Okay, so please watch.
毎日豊野は食料の産地から消費される土地までの輸送距離に重さをかけた値です。食品の生産地と消費地が食料の産地から消費される土地までの輸送距離に重さをかけた値です。フードマイレージというのは、食料の産地から消費される土地までの輸送距離に重さをかけた値です。食品の生産地と消費地が近ければ、輸送にかかるエネルギーが少なく、地球環境にかかる負担も小さいので、フードマイレージも小さくなります。
Yeah, I think this is very, very simple, but the powerful application of the TTS technologies to learners. Yeah, text can be converted to speech. But the inside, in the process of the conversion, the intermediate level of representation is text with prosodic symbols. So this representation is visualized and given to learners. And the many Japanese teachers say that this tool is the first and only teaching material to explain prosodic control of Tokyo Japanese for any given text. So, and then I gave lots of tutorial workshop of this system and OJAT, Online Japanese Accent Dictionary, and this feature. So lots of learners are using this tool. So we are very happy about this. Right, next one. So in the first case, we introduced TTS, text-to-speech technologies to support learners. But in the second, we introduced the speech analysis technologies to support learners to improve their skills of listening, right? So, so what kind of listening materials have you ever used to improve your skills of listening in English, right? So I think that you use this kind of audio material and listening, right? So, but the acoustic conditions of general listening material for learners are the monologues and dialogues in a clean, no-noise condition. And in some cases, background noises can be included, but the noise level or distortion level is very mild. But what are real-world conditions that learners have to be faced with, right? So announcements can be done from in a train or bus, lots of noises. Entrances from very tall and very small speakers. Yeah, for example, in the Disney animations, entrances from elephants or shark, and sometimes entrances of ants. Okay, yeah, interesting voices can be created by using voice changer, right? And speech is heard in a very big hall, reverberation, right? And utterance is transmitted through a radio channel. So taxi radio and police radio. Yeah, so distorted audio, okay? So these utterances are difficult for non-native speakers, non-native listeners to understand, right? And I think the so even non-native learners have to acquire robustness in listening, right? So, what kind of methodology is being used by teachers? Okay, and the one approach is high variability phonetic training. High variability. Okay, so what is that? What is HVPT? So this idea is very simple. So listening training or exercises using speech samples with high variability. High variability in terms of what? Yeah, not a single speaker. Yeah, let's use multiple speakers. Not a single speaking style. Let's use multiple speaking styles and different genders, and different age generations, and different accents, different background noises, etc., etc. Yeah, acoustic variability. Yeah. So the many papers reports show the effectiveness of HVPT, but the teachers often collect those samples manually. Okay, but by using technology, so we can enhance the diversity. Yeah, technically enhanced HVPT we are going to introduce, right? So here, what kind of speech technologies are used? So speech analysis with synthesis technologies. So what are they? So they can convert a single utterance into acoustically various versions with its message unchanged. Yeah, my voice can be converted to the voice of a girl, right? Yeah, voice changes, something like that, right? So here I'd like to give you several interesting examples of speech conversion. Okay, so let's use the original utterance, female utterance of reading this sentence. Listen.
February 14th is a day for people who have fallen in love.
Yeah, so we can change vocal tract lengths of the throat. Yeah, we can change the height of the body. Yeah, so giant female voice.
February 14th is a day for people who have fallen in love.
Fairy voices.
February 14th is a day for people who have fallen in love.
So speech in a big cathedral. Babble noise, voice noise.
February 14th is a day for people who have fallen in love.
So it's easy to simulate a second generation mobile phone.
February 14th is a day for people who have fallen in love.
So what about this air traffic control? So these are simulated voices, and it's very easy to combine them in a quantitative way. So let's listen to a small girl. She's praying in a cathedral surrounded by chatty tourists, and her prayer is recorded and transmitted via second-generation mobile phone network. Yeah, acoustic diversity is easily enhanced by introducing technologies. Right, so here we raised a simple research question. So if we can find specific types of distortion that are causing only little troubles to native listeners, but big troubles to non-native listeners, well then those specific types of distortion should be good listening materials to improve the robustness of non-native learners' listening, right? So so we created a very, very harsh, very, very difficult ACAN grade 2 listening test. What is ACAN? ACAN is a Japanese, the English proficiency test, which is very famous in Japan. It's a kind of TOEFL, right? So grade 2 means high school level. Yeah. Then we created a very, very difficult version of high school level listening test. So 4 choice questions after listening to monologues and dialogues. So you listen to a monologue or dialogue, and 4 choice questions is shown, and then you have to select one of the most the adequate one. Yeah. So male and female conversation is converted into a conversation of giant pilot and fairy pilot. So please listen to the example conversation between giant pilot and fairy pilot. So this is a question for you. Please select the most adequate one. Okay. So I think the many learners say crazy, right? Crazy. Yeah, we really did this test in front of learners, Japanese learners of English. Yeah, the beginning student beginning level, intermediate level, and advanced level. This is the original scores using the original Aiken listen test. And GF is giant and fairy, animation voices, air traffic control voices, and combination. There, what you heard is the combination of animation and air traffic control. Okay, what kind of performance they showed? Okay, yeah. So, in the case of giant and fairy animation voices, small performance degradation is found. But in the case of ATC, original to ATC, wow, big drops. Okay, and in the case of combination, the so roughly speaking, it's the chance level, right? And we asked native speakers to attempt this test. What kind of performance they showed us? Amazing. Okay. So ATC is very difficult for non-native listeners, for us, okay? But ATC is not so difficult for native speakers. So if ATC is difficult, so we have to see lots of crashes, airplane crashes, right? Okay. So then we selected ATC distortion because it's very unique. So very difficult for learners, but not so difficult to native speakers. So we prepared the pre-test and training and post-test. Training is listening drills with varying degrees of ATC distortions only. So pre-test was done. Okay, after 5 months, we introduced the 3-week training of listening drills. You're only using ATC, air traffic control distortions. And after that, we did post-test. 2 questions we had. First question 1, listening robustness improved or not against ATC distortions? Yeah, in the drills, ATC distortions are only used. So then we hope that the ATC distortion, ATC robustness can be improved. The second question is that the listening robustness can be transferred to other kinds of distortion, right? And so this is the website. I'm sorry, this is written in Japanese, but we introduced the different levels of distortion. Level 0, 1, 2, 3 is maximized distortion. 0 is telephone quality speech. Yeah, 18-day listening drills of different levels of ATC, air traffic control. And then so we did post-test. Okay, so this is the scores of pre-test and post-test. Now let's compare by calculating error reduction rates. So this is the results of calculating error reduction rates. Yeah, in the case of advanced learners, so ATC errors, half of the ATC errors are reduced. Oh, I'm sorry, part A is part B. So part A is the dialogue part. Part B is monologue part. Monologue part is somewhat more difficult than part A. Yeah, the half of the ATC errors can be reduced, can be improved, corrected. Okay, and then the giant and fairy animation voices, about 80%, about 60% of errors are corrected. Original, yeah, great improvement, but only in the case of advanced learners. So for intermediate learners and beginning learners, much milder distortion may be needed, right? Yeah, but so technically enhanced HVPT we created. Yeah, we are very happy about this. Yeah. So we introduced the speech text-to-speech technologies to support learners to speak in a fluent way. And also we introduced the analysis technologies to support learners to improve their listening skills. The next one is that we focused on students' ability of conversation. Yeah, conversation. Yeah, what is conversation? So if you say conversation is just a speaking and listening, yeah, we already supported learners in speaking and listening. But I think the conversation is something more than a simple summation of the speaking and listening. Yeah, conversation. So in conversation, you have to listen. Of course, you have to speak, and you have to speak and think and speak and listen and think simultaneously. Yeah. So so multiple task. Conversation is multiple task. Listening, understanding, and speaking, writing almost together, right? So that means to support learners to converse fluently, we have to introduce multitask speech training. So in this case, we focused on shadowing practice. So what is shadowing? So shadowing is a special form of listen and repeat practice. Listen and repeat practice. Yeah, so in every learner of English does listen and repeat. Teacher says something and listen to that. After listening to teacher's utterances, and then the students start speaking while repeating, right? But the shadowing is a special form of listen and repeat, okay? So the learners are not allowed to wait, okay? Learners' repetition have to start immediately after beginning of the native utterance. Yeah, so native utterance and learners' repetitions are somewhat overlapped. Okay, so shadowing is a much more difficult task compared to simple listen and repeat. Okay, so we want to quantify the degree of smoothness of shadowing by using automatic speech recognition technologies, right? Yeah, so multitask speech training, that is shadowing. So we want to measure brokenness of shadowing or smoothness of shadowing in a quantitative way. So how to use speech recognition techniques? So in this case, we just introduced the front end of the speech recognition. Yeah, these days the front end of DNN is posteriogram conversion. Yeah. So this is the spectrogram of speech. Yeah, waveform converted into spectrogram. So this representation was used in a classical model of speech recognition, but in today's model of speech recognition, this is converted further into posteriogram. Okay, yeah, spectrogram is converted in posterior probability of phonemes. Yeah. So what is spectrum? What is posteriogram? So spectrogram is acoustic representation including extra-linguistic features. Extra-linguistic features are features of speakers and gender, and age, okay? Non-linguistic features. Okay? But the posteriogram, in terms of phonemes, are purely phonetic or phonemic representation, suppressing those features. Okay. Yeah, so we converted the speech, so shadowing speech, into a sequence of posteriogram vectors. Right. So this is learner's shadowing utterance, for example. Yeah, and also we can use native speakers' model utterances and text read by the native speakers. And then by using the text or sequence of phonemes intended by native speakers, we can detect the phoneme boundaries from learners' shadowing utterances. Okay? And then so this is a time index, and phoneme identity for each time index. Yeah, this is phoneme boundary, another phoneme boundary, another phoneme boundary. And for each time frame, so we can estimate the posterior probability. So this is what are intended. This is the phonemes intended by learner. And then we can pick up the intended phoneme scores and the average. So this is a well-known goodness of pronunciation score. So goodness of GOP score are the phoneme posterior scores. Right? Yeah, this is the DNN GOP. So in this case, this is model utterance, and this is learner shadowing utterance. So and we compared the learner's shadowing utterances and text or phoneme sequence information. So in this case, we did not use model utterance itself. Yeah. And the validity of learner's utterances in in the intended phoneme sequence. This is what is calculated as DNN-GOP. So, but another approach is that let's compare learner utterance and student utterance and model utterance. Okay, but the student model they may be utterances from different speakers, of course, different gender, different age, different generation. So then the spectrogram of spectrograms of learner, a spectrogram of teachers may be very, very different. So then first we convert it into posteriogram sequence, and then they are compared using dynamic time warping. Well, this is another simple approach. So in this case, model utterance and learner utterances are compared by DTW. After calculating posterior scores, posteriograms. Yeah, DNN DTW. We tested these two very, very simple techniques. Okay, how to compare learner utterance and model utterances. Okay, using the DNN-based ASL front end. So this is the results of the of calculating the goodness of shadowing. Okay, so GOP-based scores, okay, DNN GOP and DNN DTW. Okay, so these scores are correlation between machine scores, DNN GOP or DNN DTW, and human scores. So human scores are obtained from language teachers, right? So yeah, correlation is very high. Okay. Very high. We're very happy about this. But this is feature correlations without introducing any regression models or prediction models. By introducing prediction model, regression model, so the correlations are somewhat improved. Yeah. So this is inter-rater correlation. Yeah, very, very comparable. Yeah, we are very happy about this. But this is a speaker level assessment. So when we assess learner utterances, assessments can be done on a word level or phrase level or sentence level and speaker level. So speaker level is the most easy task. So when we go into a somewhat difficult task on sentence level, and performance is somewhat dropped. But in this case, inter-rater correlation becomes somewhat smaller. Yeah, and between machine and humans, yeah, they are rather comparable. Yeah, we are very happy about this. So this is about the new project we have started last year. Okay, so now we are introducing a very, very different approach of assessment of learners. Okay, and in this case, let's support learners to improve speaking performance, listening performance, conversation performance. So what kind of performance here, right? Yeah, we want to support learners in this situation. Okay. So let me go back to the DNN-based assessment between the comparison between the shadowing tasks. So the learner's utterance is assessed by using DNN-GOP and DNN-DTW. So both in either case, I can say learner's utterances are compared with model utterances, native utterances, or native acoustic model. Native pronunciation models. So this approach is often claimed to be native likeness approach. Okay. So if learners' pronunciation become very, very native-like, so then the learners can acquire full score. But as far as I know, many teachers hate this approach. So language learning does not have any aim of becoming native speakers. Okay? So Japanese English and Korean English and Chinese English, they are Englishes, right? So if I ask British speakers to speak American English, okay, they kill me, right? Okay, English people do not speak American English, right? So if I ask Indian people to speak American English, okay, so then I think they may say to me, "You are racist," right? So accents are kind of identity, right? Yeah. So Indian people speak Indian accent English, Singapore people in the Singlish, right? So native likeness approach can be accepted by some learners who want to become really, really like native speakers, but the many teachers say, no, no, no. So what kind of strategy should be introduced? Yeah. So everybody is speaking accented English. But if that accented English is intelligible enough or comprehensible enough, it's okay. It's okay, right? So here, so what kind of question we engineers can raise? Okay. So the question here, what kind of accented pronunciation is acceptable or not acceptable? Okay. If accented pronunciation is acceptable to her, yeah, the situation will be like this. But the accented pronunciation is not acceptable, the situation will be like this. Okay. Yeah. So in a case of shadowing assessment, shadowing is a task where learners have to imitate native utterances. So then the native utterance and learner's utterances simple comparison is allowed, can be accepted, right? But if we want to assess learners' pronunciation in terms of intelligibility and comprehensibility, so what we have to do, yeah, learners' utterances should be compared to what? Okay, so learners' utterances should be compared to a set of acceptable pronunciations. So I am speaking in my own English. So you and the Korean people listen to my English. Okay. So if my English is within your set of acceptable pronunciation, I'm okay. You are okay. We can be very happy, right? But if my pronunciation is outside of your set of acceptable pronunciation, so then the communication will be breakdown, right? So the question here is how to define your set of acceptable pronunciations. Okay, I think in your brain, so you may have your own set of acceptable pronunciation, but it's difficult to observe. How to observe this? Okay, so some researchers of speech sciences are focusing on listening behaviors by using the brain monitoring and the eye trackers. Yeah, using some sensors. The speech scientists are observing what kind of listening effort or listening difficulty listeners are having. So, but the many teachers say that no, schools are not hospitals, right? And it's too expensive. Okay, so how to realize listeners monitoring in a cheap way, right? So this is one idea. So we did about 8 years ago. So in this experiment, so we presented Japanese English read utterances to American native speakers of English who did not see any Japanese in real life. So they saw Japanese only on television. Okay, they don't have any Japanese friend. So we presented Japanese English read utterances to them on a telephone line. The task is listening, and after listening, they have to repeat. Now their repetitions are transcribed. Okay, so for this experiment, we prepared 800 Japanese English utterances and 600 American English utterances as control stimuli. Okay, so all the recordings, Japanese English utterances were recorded, and so all the recordings were judged as correct by the speakers themselves. So for learners, for the speakers, these utterances are correct English. Okay? And in more than 150 Americans joined this listening experiment, and so lots of repetitions are transcribed by technical staff. Okay? So this is the called oral intelligibility. Oral intelligibility. So what kind of results we obtained? So this is this sentence was read by American speaker.
The misquote was retracted with an apology. The misquote was retracted with an apology.
And then this sentence was presented only once to American listeners, and American listeners have to repeat. And repetitions were transcribed like this. Yeah, native speakers read, and native speakers listen. Okay, and then repeat. Okay, and then transcriptions are almost perfect. And one Japanese student read this sentence.
The misquote was retracted with an apology. The misquote was retracted with an apology.
So this sentence was presented on the telephone line, and Americans have to listen and repeat. Results, something like this. The first response is, I don't know. Okay? Some is called was instructed. Okay? So, but here I can claim strongly that this English is very, 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 very intelligible to that learner himself, because that is his English, much more intelligible than native pronunciation. So this is, I think this is one of the difficult problems to solve. So utterances, some utterances are very, very, very intelligible to the learner himself, okay? But those utterances are not intelligible to others. Intelligibility gap, okay? Yeah, so this happens, okay? So what kind of technologies can be introduced to support him, right? So I think that we have to build this model, okay? Posterior probability of words given observation. Observation is learner's utterances. So what kind of words will appear in listener's mind? What kind of words will appear in listener's mind? L is listener, okay? So I am speaking to you using my own pronunciation. What kind of words you have in your mind, okay? Okay, so, but this representation, this formula may remind you of speech recognition. Okay, speech recognition is this: PS, words given audio. What's S? As speakers. Okay, so speech recognition is a technique that can predict what kind of words are in speaker's mind. Okay, I am speaking English. Speech recognition have to detect the words I intended in my brain, in my mind. Okay, so the speech recognition is a technique that can predict the words in speaker's mind. So what kind of models I want to have? The model is that what kind of words you have, listeners have. Okay, so if native speaks, if native listens, in this case, this model. This model, so speaker's model and listener's models are overlapped. If native speaks and if native listens. If non-native speaks or if non-native listen, in this case, this model and this model are different. That may cause miscommunication. So how to build this? So naive approach is, let's collect this data. So, but the collection of this data is very, very difficult, time-consuming. So, in our case, we presented 800 Japanese English. We presented 600 American English utterances to American people. So that project took 2 years. Okay, 2 years. And so this is not good. Okay, the one problem is scalability, difficult to scale up. But we have another difficulty. What's this? In this case, utterances are presented, and then the listeners have to repeat. So after listening, they had to repeat. That means they can wait. Waiting means they can do guessing. They can do guessing deeply. Okay. Some listeners try to guess deeply. Okay, but some other, I don't know. That's all. So it was very difficult to control listeners' listening strategy. So we wanted to remove those factors. So what is a good way to collecting data, right? So then we shifted from intelligibility to comprehensibility. Comprehensibility and intelligibility. So they are kind of similar but different. So what is intelligibility? So how many words in a given utterance can be identified correctly? So measured objectively by native listeners' transcription or oral repetition. So it focuses on the results of listeners' recognition process, a kind of offline measure. Comprehensibility. So how easily, how smoothly the content of a given utterance can be understood, measured objectively by monitoring brain activities to the size of pupil. Listening efforts or cognitive load is focused. It focuses on how the recognition process is running online. So we focused on comprehensibility. But why focusing on comprehensibility can solve those two problems, scaling problem and the listening strategy problems. So in the experiment 8 years ago, we presented Japanese utterances, not learners' utterances, and native listeners could wait, but they have to listen and repeat, right? So waiting, we dislike. So we want them to repeat, but we want them not to wait. Okay? So repetition minus waiting becomes what? Repetition minus waitings becomes shadowing. Okay? Shadowing is a repetition without waiting. Okay, so general form of shadowing is this. Native utterances are presented to learners. Learners have to shadow. Okay, and then we built this. So we did a series of studies of the so calculating, quantifying the smoothness of shadowing. Yeah, using these technologies, so we introduce reverse shadowing. Learners' utterances are presented to native speakers. Native speakers have to shadow. Okay. Yeah, so learners in Japanese English is presented to American have to shadow. American Japanese are presented to me, the Japanese people, and we have to shadow. So in this case, shadowing means it's a simultaneous reproduction of words intended by the learner in a native pronunciation, not imitation of accented pronunciations. So if accented pronunciation may cause some troubles of understanding, then shadowing utterances will be broken. Or, so then the smooth shadowing means smooth understanding. Yeah, let's examine this idea. Right, so in this case, we collected Vietnamese Japanese. The target language of learning is Japanese. So L1, so native language, mother tongue is Vietnamese. Right. So we collected Vietnamese Japanese, but if their utterances are very, very slow, in this case, the shadowing slow utterances is very, very easy. So for recording, we control the speaking rate using karaoke recording software. Okay, not singing, karaoke style recording software. Yeah, so the Vietnamese learners of Japanese have to read this sentence, okay? But the speaking rate is specified from the audio CD of a textbook of Japanese. Please watch.
日本には語呂合わせの記念日がたくさんあります。
Yeah, this change of color is done based on the speaking rate of a motor speaker of this textbook. Yeah, by using this software, we collected lots and lots of utterances from Vietnamese learners and Japanese. Yeah, so the karaoke style recording was also done by Japanese native speakers. Okay, yeah, we extracted speaking rate information from audio CD of a textbook, and based on this speaking rate, we asked Vietnamese learners to read in a karaoke way, and we also asked native speakers in Japanese to read text sentences in a karaoke way. Okay, and these utterances are shadowed by other native speakers of Japanese. So the first, the native.
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
Again.
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
This is karaoke read, Japanese, native Japanese utterance, and shadowed by another Japanese.
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
Karaoke read by Vietnamese learners.
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
And then the shadowed by Japanese.
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
So let's compare the Japanese shadowing, native Japanese, and Japanese shadowing, Vietnamese Japanese. Let's compare.
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
今では世界的に有名な新幹線も
So I know that many of you, or some of you, don't understand Japanese, but even in that case, I think you can perceive the unstable production of speech in this case. Yeah, as far as I know, the older technical studies aiming to improve speaking ability of learners. So in those research studies, every researcher is focusing on this. Let's do acoustic analysis of learner speech, and let's do comparison between learner speech and native speech. It's based on native likeness approach. Okay, so we want to focus on intelligibility or comprehensibility. So comprehensibility or intelligibility is a kind of properties of listeners. Let's focus on listeners. Then we asked listeners to shadow. Then we focused on this. So I think our study is the first trial to observe listeners' behavior and then asking listeners to shadow. Right. So next, I'd like to show you some experimental results. We asked native Vietnam learners to record Japanese sentences using the karaoke software, and then they are shadowed by 27 native speakers of Japanese. And also they were asked to score those utterances and the scores of comprehensibility, how easily, how smoothly they could understand the content of this. Okay? And then shadowing utterances obtained. Right? So scores and shadowing utterances obtained. So let's do acoustic analysis on this. So which results will have higher correlation to this? Okay? Learners' utterances or listeners' behaviors, listeners' shadowing utterances. Yeah, so learners' utterances presented to native shadowers, and the shadowing utterances obtained. Okay? And the comprehensibility score, subjective scores obtained. Right? So we calculated GOP scores from Vietnamese Japanese. So we calculated word recognition rate by running a speech recognizer, Japanese speech recognizer. We calculated word recognition rate of Vietnamese Japanese learners' utterances, and GOP from reverse shadowing or responsive shadowing, reverse shadowing, GOP reverse shadowing, word recognition rate. And also we can calculate delay of shadowing. This is Vietnamese Japanese, this is native shadowing. We calculated the delays, and we calculated average delay of shadowing. Right. So this is a correlation of these features, speech features, to the comprehensibility subjective scores. GOP, Vietnamese Japanese GOP. So this is a baseline feature to calculate native likeness between Vietnamese Japanese and native Japanese. And then this is the responsive shadowing GOP, okay, reverse shadowing GOP. Yeah, so this is a native likeness score from broken shadowing utterances to native smooth shadowing, right? Yeah, 0.74, much higher. And if we use word recognition rate, so reverse shadowing showed higher correlation. And delay. So delay is not bad. Okay. By combining these features, correlation can be improved. Right. So let me go back to this. So, as I said, the many researchers focused on this, just to compare learners' utterances and native utterances. Okay, native likeness approach. Okay, but we want to claim that if we want to intelligibility and comprehensibility, listeners' performances or responses, they have this treasure is here. Right? Okay, but you may point out a serious drawback in this framework. Okay, learners' utterances, Japanese English and Korean English may be presented to American listeners. They have to shadow. So American Japanese and Korean Japanese will be given to me. I have to shadow. So what is the serious drawback? Yeah, native reverse shadowing always requires native shadowers. Okay, how to solve this? Right? Yeah. So to solve this, we are going to introduce interlearner shadowing. Japanese, his English will be shadowed by American. So American is learning Chinese. American Chinese is shadowed by Chinese. So this Chinese is learning Japanese, like her, right? So she's a Chinese learner of Japanese, and her Chinese I will shadow, right? So interlearner shadowing. Every learner is a native speaker of one or two languages, okay? And lots of learners are learning that language, okay? So you have to shadow learners Korean, okay? And you are Japanese, I will shadow, okay? You have to shadow, and you will be shadowed, okay? So inter-supportive framework among learners of different languages. So Lang 8, some of you may know Lang 8. Lang 8 is a sentence composition-based inter-supportive framework. So if I type in English, American will correct me. Okay? So if they type in Japanese, Americans type in Japanese, I have to correct them. Inter-supportive correction framework as a language. So this is a kind of shadowing version of language. So the shadowing feedback is natives' honest impressions. Okay, so language teachers often tend to be very mild, gentle. Oh, you're good, because they want make smiles on your face, right? But the Korean businessmen, Japanese businessmen, when they visit U.S. and talking in English, they found it's difficult to make themselves understood smoothly by native speakers of English. Okay, so if they have some troubles, difficulty to be understood correctly by native speakers, somebody has to say, "Oh, you are still accented. Your pronunciation is not intelligible." Okay, okay, yeah. So native shadowing cannot tell lies. Okay? If you want to tell lies, you have to wait and deep guessing. And that is not shadowing. Okay? Okay. And then, so interliner shadowing. So we may be able to collect data from liners of any languages. Okay? So I think you can point out this is a data collection framework with annotation. Native speaker shadowing can be viewed as annotation. Shadowability sequence like this. This is a comprehensibility annotation, right? So, by collecting these data, finally, we want to build virtual shadower. So this is the data collection framework to build virtual shadower. Okay, yeah. These days, so to start something new, so researchers or engineers have to collect a huge amount of data. Data collection and system development should be separate. So to collect data in a cheap way, so we have to provide a new service to some community. So people in those communities will get excited to enjoying in this framework and collect, and then they'll speak and they read and they shadow and read and shadow and reading, right? So lots of data we may be able to collect, especially from some student in the international universities of foreign studies, right? And then finally, we may be able to build a virtual shadower based on this annotated data. Yeah. So this can be a framework of never-ending collection of data and annotation. Right. Okay, so let me conclude my talk. So almost 1 hour. Yeah, so we explain the 4 projects. There are these projects we have done. So this is a new project we started last year. Okay, but to conclude this talk, I'd like to show you 2 images, 2 pictures. Okay, so the first one is this. Yeah, I'd like to select 2 pictures out of all the pictures I used in my talk. So this is using this picture, I explained that we are kind of language teachers who are teaching language to machine learners. So we have many good knowledges of teaching languages to machine learners. So some kinds of knowledges may be able to be introduced to human learners. So I introduced listening drills of this, noisy listening drills. Okay, so this is another example of this. Why? So I think everybody knows this. Okay, what's this? So you may say, oh, it's panda. Machine says it's panda. Okay, what's this? Okay, and what's this? You may say panda, but machine says it's gibbon. What is gibbon? It's this, right? Why? Because this example is obtained by adding a small, very small perturbation. Okay? But this perturbation is big trouble to machine identifier, right? So what kind of noise is so big trouble to non-native speakers, but not big trouble to native listeners? Okay? Yeah, this framework is introduced into listening drills. Okay? So this is the first picture. And the second picture is this. So many guys are focusing on comparison-based approach of learners' utterances and native utterances. Okay, but the many teachers hate that approach because becoming native speaker is not the goal of language learning, right? So the models we have to build is a listening model, listeners models. So I am giving an English talk, and what kind of words you have in your mind. So I want to read your mind, right? So this model is needed for learners of new languages. Yeah, that's right. In this case, we introduced the shadowing task to native listeners. Okay, so this is the end of my talk. Thank you very much. Thank you. So any question? Yes, please.
I have some. First of all, thank you for your tech talk, and I have two questions. First one is you said shadowing is a representative of comprehensibility, and maybe I missed the reason for why. So could you explain once more why the shadowing is could be representative of the comprehensibility? And the second question is in the last topic, you said. You explained the experiment of the Japanese shadowing and the Vietnamese speaking. And you also performed the Japanese shadowing on Japanese speaker. But it seems that this shadowing was not used in the experiment. So could you tell me what is the purpose of the Japanese shadowing on the Japanese speaking?
Okay, so the first question is on the how we should understand, interpret shadowability. Okay, how shadowability is different from intelligibility, how shadowability is different from comprehensibility, right? So at first, what we wanted to do is that how to observe listeners' behavior while listening. Okay, we want to online observation of listeners. But the brain monitoring and the eye pupil size detection requires an expensive device, okay, hated by teachers. Okay? So we introduce shadowing, okay, and by asking the listeners to shadow, we can calculate something like this, our shadowability score sequence, right? So then we checked similar terms used in the L2 studies. So intelligibility, comprehensibility, interpretability, somethingability, and fluency. lots of different terms, right? Yeah, but but intelligibility and comprehensibility, and that is the two most frequent words we encountered, right? So then we thought that what is the difference between the intelligibility, comprehensibility, and the intelligibility and shadowability, and comprehensibility and shadowability, right? So the one idea of shadowability is online intelligibility. Okay, so in the first experiments, in the experiment 8 years ago, we presented Japanese English utterances to American listeners. We have to repeat, okay? Listen and repeat, listen and wait and repeat, right? So that experimental results are often interpreted as oral intelligibility, but the offline, because listeners can wait. So in this case, listeners cannot wait, okay? Okay, so then the online intelligibility is one approach of interpretation. But as far as we understood, comprehensibility is focusing on listening, so strategy or the kind of online measurement of listening. So then we consider that the shadowability is somewhat similar to comprehensibility than than intelligibility, especially offline intelligibility. But here we want to claim is that shadowability is shadowability. Okay, so this is the comment from researchers, teachers of English. Okay, studying. They are here as a researcher of applied linguistics. So definition of intelligibility, definition of comprehensibility, and differentiation of intelligibility, comprehensibility, interpretability may be different between researchers. And then shadowability. That's all. This is okay, he said to me. And then, so we became relaxed. So shadowability. Yeah, so if you listen to non-native Koreans, okay, so I may speak in Korean, and then you may shadow me, so you may have some troubles, okay? And your utterances will be broken, right? And then your English may be shadowed by American speakers, and the American speakers shadowing are sometimes broken, okay? So then if you attempt the shadowing experiment, shadowing non-native Koreans, I think you can understand the meaning of shadowability. When you become difficult to shadow smoothly, okay, you can understand what is the meaning of shadowability, right? Yeah, so this is a slide to explain, to compare shadowability and intelligibility and comprehensibility, but now we can say shadowability. Yeah. So another question is, we recorded Vietnamese Japanese using karaoke software, and also we recorded Japanese readings based on karaoke, so recording software. So 96 Vietnamese Japanese and 68 native Japanese. Okay, and both of these are presented to native shadowers. They have to shadow. Then this is the red dots are results of Vietnamese Japanese comprehensibility scores rated subjectively by shadowers, and then GOP scores. Okay, shadowing scores. So the blue dots are native Japanese. Okay, but the shadowing, so native speakers shadowing native utterances. So even in this case, sometimes shadowing performance are very poor. So in which case, the content of the sentence is difficult to understand. Okay, so shadowing can be easily broken. Okay, so after this experiment, we run another experiment, asking native shadowers to shadow native utterances. But native utterances are controlled based on the linguistic complexity. Right? So syntactic structure and predictability of words, okay, by changing these factors rather qualitative way. So we analyzed the shadowing performance of native shadowers on native utterances. Okay, so then the shadowing performance deeply depend on the content of present utterances. Yeah. はい。
今日説明してくれたそのコンセプトは今入とか世界中に実際にサービスとしてユーザーさんに提供して。
インターラーナーシャドーイングですけど、現時点でまだアイデアだけです。で、我々がやったのはベトナム人の日本語を日本人にシャドウさせてみた。で、日本人の英語をアメリカ人とか英語の母語者にシャドウさせるともこれからすぐやろうとしてるんですけど、こういうその3グループ4グループだとかラーナーをたくさん集めてお互いシャドウさせるっていうことはまだデータを取ってないですし取ってません。でただこのアイデアは、もういくつかの学会で発表してまして、で2月にAmerican Association of Applied Linguistics 応用言語学、アメリカ応用言語学って語学の先生が集まる一番大きな世界大会で発表させてもらったんですけど、やっぱり皆さんすごく面白いって言うんですね。で、そのネイティブスピーカーが聞いてその時何を感じるか、うわなんだこれっていう、それをもう取り出したいんですよ。でそれを頭に何かつけてとなるとちょっとお金がかかるので、一番シンプルな助けってシャドーイングさせてみればいいじゃないと。そうするとマイクロフォン1本でできるよと。でやってみようと。でこのアイデアそのものは非常に面白いと言われているので、さっさとこのバーチャルシャドーはいらないからこっちを早く作ってくれと。 でそれは先生も言うし、モチベーティッド・ラーナーズもモチベーションのある学習者も早くこれ作って、私の英語ってみんな理解できるって言ってくれるんだけど、本当にスムーズに理解できてるかどうかは、それはもうなんていうのかな、そのポリティカリーコレクトなことしか言わないんですよ。で本当はどのくらいそのスムーズに理解してるのかを知りたい。これだったらそれが分かるから早く私の英語をシャドウしてもらいたいって言ってくる人もいるんですね。だからこれはぜひ、もうスマホアプリとかで作りたいんですが、我々の研究室別にスマホアプリを作ってる研究チームでも何でもないので、これはどっかで組まないといけないと。でその組む相手を LINE にするのかどこにするのかみたいなことであちこち、こういうふうなトークをしてですね、これ一緒にやらないということなんですね。でじゃあもう一つ言っておくとですね、僕にとってこれどこが一番面白いかというと、僕は元エンジニアですけど、元は英語の先生になりたかった人間なんですね。で、僕にとって一番面白いことを今まだ説明してないんですけど、例えばこの人が英語喋ってアメリカ人がシャドウしたら、例えばこのアメリカ人がアメリカ人の英語をシャドウすると 100% きれいにシャドウイングができたとします。じゃあこの人が日本人をシャドウした時にシャドウイングパフォーマンス、シャドウアビリティスコアが60ポイントになった、あるいは B プラスになった。でこれをフィードバックすることはできるんだけれども、この60点とか B プラスっていうのがどのくらいエフェクティブなのかは僕はよくわからないです。でもう少し全く違ったフィードバックが僕はできると思って、このイントゥイティブなフィードバックとありますけど、例えばですね、僕が、韓国語ハングルを学んだ。で僕は喋ってる。じゃあ僕が韓国語を喋ってる時に僕のハングル語で、僕のハングル語の韓国語の発音でビジネスマンはできるんだろうかだ、セールストークはできるんだろうか、ね、で語学の先生は大丈夫よと言ってくれるかもしれませんけど、本当に皆さんがどう思うのかってわからないわけですよね。つまり発音がうまくなることの社会的価値がわからない。で何をやりたいかというと、この人のシャドウアビリティが 60% になるときに、じゃあこの日本人のシャドウアビリティ、日本語母語話者としてのシャドーイングパフォーマンスを 60% にしてしまうノンネイティブジャパニーズアトランシスというのが見つかるわけですよ。あなたの英語はこういう日本語ですと言って提示すれば、これだったら弁当屋の奥でおかずを詰める仕事はできるけど、看護婦だとかヘルパーさんはダメだなってのが分かる。つまりそのコミュニティの中で僕はどんな仕事ができるんだっていうことを伝えたいんですね。で僕はそれを常にその外国語教材を作る業者に言うんですけど、誰もやらない。それはソーシャルフォノレジ、ソーシャルフォネティクスだとかソーシャルリングスティクスをやってる方と組まないとできない話なんですけど、誰もやろうとしないので、じゃあエンジニアとしてやるよと言って僕が始めたのはこれなんですね。これを示せばこれじゃ仕事はできない。イミグラントワーカーがたくさん今日本に来てますけど、日本に来る前にそれじゃおじいちゃんおばあちゃんのヘルパーで来てもおじいちゃんおばあちゃん逃げるよということを伝えたいんですよ。語学の先生は言わないです、そんなことは。ディスカレッジするから。だけど誰かが言わなきゃいけない。でそれを技術に言わせますと言ってるんですね。だからそういうことを本当にリアルな、母語話者が聞いた時に、うわちょっと待ってこれっていう、それを取り出して戻してあげないことには。で戻してあげる時の一つのアプローチが、そのこの学習者の母国語、フォーリンアクセントというのは母国語で、あなたの英語はこんな感じ、あなたの韓国語はこんな感じですよ、これで仕事できると思いますか。観光地に行ってお土産買う時にはお店のおばさんはニコニコしてくれるかもしれないけど、だけどこれで仕事ができるかって、話す仕事は無理だなっていうことが分かればいいなと思ってますね。僕にとって一番面白いのはそこです。このバーチャルシャドウはなんか僕もいりません、正直言って。語学教師になりたかった僕はこれはいらないです。エンジニアとしての僕はこれ非常に面白いですけど、語学教師だったらこれはいらないです。上だけあればいいです。でこれはお金を取るために、あるいは LINE やネイバーと付き合うために言ってるだけです。正直言いますけど。そういうのが僕の主張です。だからこれはできれば本当僕も嬉しいし、で本当にあなたのその発音発声のパフォーマンスっていうのを返せる一つのアプローチになるんじゃないかなと思っているので、興味のあるメーカーさんとお付き合いしましょうという感じであちこちでトークしてますね。はい、以上です。はい、よろしいですか。ちょっと長くなっちゃいましたが。 はい、では、これでもうおしまいにしてよろしいですかね。じゃあどうもありがとうございました。